Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here today at Re-Ritten Vintage Homestead for week 4 of the Three Rivers Challenge, Pantry Challenge. And I have got so much to work on today because I've decided this is it. That pantry needs cleaned out. That pantry needs cleaned out. It's getting cleaned out, and I'm going to use what I have. So I wanted to start today and make some cornbread with my Indian corn that I ground up over the fall. And it's also known as seed corn. And I'm just running it through my grinder one more time to get it nice and fine. And then we're going to make some cornbread with it. And I do have a video on a review of this grinder that I absolutely love that I will link above. But this is what I'm going to start with today. So tonight for dinner, we are going to have nachos with roast and cornbread. The roast is in the oven. I'll show you that as we go. And let's get busy on the cornbread. So I've grinded up 1 3/4 cup of my Indian corn. And to that, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of sugar. Oh, my oven's ready at 375. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Marshall, you don't like baking powder? And 1/4 teaspoon baking soda. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And to that, I'm going to add 1 1/4 cups of milk. And I greased my cast iron skillet. So 1 1/4 cup of milk, 1 egg, and 1/2 cup of melted butter. Now I'm going to start by mixing this with my fork just to get it incorporated. And then I'm going to get my mixer and finish it up the rest of the way. Now this batter isn't the color that we're used to with regular cornbread, which is yellow. This is brown. And that is because seed corn, Indian corn, it has a lot of different names, does not have gluten in it that regular sweet corn does. So it doesn't have that binding agent in it. So I'm going to let this set for about 5 minutes because I want a nice crown on top. And then I'm going to bake this at 375 for 20 minutes. While my cornbread is cooking, we eat a lot of eggs. And I have been saving our eggs for several months because I want to make fertilizer out of my eggshells. Eggshells are about 97% calcium. And the reason they're good for your garden is fast-growing plants like tomatoes, beans, cucumbers. They need the calcium in the soil to stay strong and disease-resistant. If you don't add calcium to the soil, they deplete the calcium from the soil very quickly, and they don't grow as strong and provide the fruit that we want in abundance. So I am going to grind up my eggshells and make them into a powder so that I can sprinkle those around my plants and in with my plants in about 6 weeks, you guys, when we get those gardens ready. So I'm really pleased. I got a full quart, and I'm starting on a 1/2 quart of my calcium fertilizer made out of eggshells for my garden this year. I'm really pleased how much I got. And boy, that's going to save me a lot of money on fertilizer And my fruits, my tomatoes, my beans are going to be healthy and strong this year. I roasted some tomatoes a week ago and I dried out these skins. And as you know, I like to put those in my grinder and make powder out of those. And it's absolutely delicious in soups and in pizza sauce, barbecue sauce, as a thickener, whatever you want to use it for. Just keep your skins, dry them out, and put them in your grinder. You guys, I am so thrilled with how my cornbread turned out. Look how thick that is. And it is delicious. It's very sweet and nutty. Now it's brown. It's not the color of the cornbread that we're used to. However, this is closer to what the Native Americans and Mexican Americans made years and years and years ago, because it hasn't been bred with chemicals, crossbred with other corn. It's truer to the nature of what they used to make. And it's so good. Consistency is just like cornbread, nice and thick, and it's delicious. You're going to love it. After preheating my oven to 350, I greased my cooking pan and then use whatever nacho chips you have. And Fritos are even good here as a base. I had these tortilla chips left over, so I just spread those along the bottom. Next, you're going to add any type of toppings that you would like. I'm using tomatoes and green onions, but you can use peppers. You can use red onions. Any type of topping that you would like. Now's the time to add it here. Spread it all over as evenly as you can. My roast, I had cooked that earlier in the day, salt and peppered it, and cut the fat off of it. Hey, where did he come from? He always knows when I'm cooking, doesn't he? And so I'm going to take the roast and I'm going to spread it all over. Now you can use pork roast here. I used a beef roast, but both are good. Barbecue pork roast is really good too. And I forgot to show you that I made some relish out of my peppers this year, and pepperoncinis and carrots. And I think they call it guilladera sauce. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. And then I added sour cream, and I did have to buy that at the store because, like I said, I don't have a cow. So I'm just taking the sour cream and I'm putting it in a sandwich bag here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create piping like you would icing for a cookie. So you just put your sour cream in the bag there and push everything to one end. Then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to snip off the end and just pipe that all over your nachos. You can get really fancy here if you'd like. And if you don't like sour cream, you don't have to add it, or you can add it afterwards when it comes out of the oven, whichever you prefer. Then I went to the refrigerator and I pulled out any kind of cheese that I had, which was cheddar cheese and Monterey Jack cheese. And just sprinkled that along the top. And mozzarella cheese would really be good here, and Parmesan, but I was out, so I used what I had. And then you're going to bake that in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes until it comes out brown and it looks like it's cooked all the way through. But it is just delicious with the crunchy chips on the bottom and the sweet sour cream on top. And you're just going to love it. It's especially good for football Sunday. Today I want to use up some of these cans of zucchini, pineapple zucchini. This is zucchini that has been flavored with pineapple juice, and it takes on the flavor of pineapple. And you can use it in every recipe that you would use typical pineapple for. So it's a good way to use up your zucchini. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have a 9 by 13 inch pan here, and I've melted a half a cup of butter in it. I'm going to add 1 1/3 cups brown sugar to the top. And just spread it out evenly. Then I'm going to drain my zucchini pineapple, and it will go on top of all of this brown sugar goodness. I opened 2 quarts of my zucchini pineapple, and it's been poured on the top here of the warm melted butter and brown sugar. I've got my oven preheating to 350. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take 2 cups of sugar, and I'm going to combine that with 2 2/3 cup flour. And I bet I'm going to have to open another bag. Yep, I'm a little short. There we go. And just combine that. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of baking powder. One teaspoon of salt. Two-thirds cup oil. Vegetable oil, olive oil, doesn't matter. Now, something I did have to buy that I did not have in my pantry was buttermilk. But if you don't have buttermilk, you can just add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar to 1 1/2 cups of milk. But I am going to need 1 1/2 cups of buttermilk. While I was at the store, I thought since I was going to make this recipe, I might as well get it. Two eggs. Oops. Try not to get the shells in there. That was better. And a teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm going to take my mixer and I'm going to blend this all together. So once again, I melted a 1/2 cup of butter. I put 1 1/3 cups of brown sugar on top of that, 2 quarts of the pineapple, and then I mixed together 2 2/3 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon salt, 2/3 cup of oil, 1 1/2 cups buttermilk, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to pour that over the top. And it makes a beautiful brown, crusty base here because we're going to flip it over so that the pineapple is on top. So just pour that on top. Spread it out, and I have my oven preheated to 350, and we are going to bake this for 50 to 55 minutes or until it's set and golden brown. And for today's pantry meal, I just got done paying bills, so I'm going to make a poor man's pie because I'm feeling like a poor man for sure. And I'm going to use what I always have in my pantry, the Idahoan potatoes. These are the buttery home style, and they're only about $1.20 a pack. I love the taste of these, and you can get them at the dollar store. So let's get busy. So I've got my oven preheating to 350. I greased my cast iron skillet. I have 1 can of green beans, and to that, I'm going to add 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. We always have that in the pantry as well. Mix that together. You can add a little more salt and pepper right now if you'd like to. Then you're going to add your hamburger. And then you're just going to mix it all up well. Now we're going to put that in our skillet. See how fast this was? This is fast. Then we're going to put our mashed potatoes on top. Just kind of spread those around if you can. Now, if you wanted to, you could add cheese to the top here. I don't like to do that because I like the taste of the hamburger and the potatoes without the cheese, but it's totally up to you. If you want to add some grated cheddar cheese here, you can. So we're just going to spread that around to the best of our ability. We'll be having rolls with this evening. Already have our vegetables in there. Spice it up again. And then I'm going to put that in my preheated oven for about 20 minutes. Here's our poor man's pie right out of the oven. It is bubbly hot, but it has our vegetables and our meat, potatoes. It is delicious. Like I said, you could add onions if you want or grate cheese on top. But that is a hearty, fulfilling meal. And with that, we're going to have our upside down pineapple cake that I made yesterday. Look how thick that is. It is so sweet and delicious. And everything was made using pantry ingredients. So everybody, thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed the recipes that we did. And it was a lot of fun coming up with them. And now we're ready to move on to another adventure. Like, subscribe, and share if you feel so inclined. I really appreciate it. And have a great week.